Rachel. It's so good to be with you. Thanks for giving me your time so generously. Yeah, so it's okay if we'll have a little bit of silence together just for a couple of minutes,
Lovely, Jay.
and then I can take it from there. Thank you so much, Rachel. That's great. Yeah, so this is the actually the first in the series of these. I plan to be catching up with people from the Peace Sounds um albums over the next few months to do these. So yeah, it was really lovely that you could spend the time with me. You're speaking to me, so you're in France, aren't you, right now?
I'm in France. Yeah, I'm on a hill. Yeah,
On a hill in
very
France.
nice hill. So in particular, yeah.
Lovely, lovely. And I want to yeah, I had a few questions I wanted to ask you. I think I'll ask similar questions to everyone, but I, I was wondering about your what brings like creativity, music maybe, but also like if maybe there's other creativity around that, and like how that came into your life, at what age, what were the conditions there that made you into such a wondrous creative being?
Thanks, mate. Yeah, well, thanks for having me and for having me be part of the project as well. It's a beautiful project to be part of. That's yeah, very aligned with my own aspirations. But I think it has been a journey to sort of like get there, to like align my own heart with my own actions. And I'd say though that I've been on it for my whole life because I started playing the guitar, or maybe the keytar. I had a keytar first. Yeah, when
And
I was a
I
really,
don't even know
really
what that
child.
is.
Well, it's like a keyboard guitar.
Ah,
Yeah, so you
right.
just kind of beep, 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 and it was red. I had one of them for Christmas. Yeah, I don't know how old I was, but I'd say from 5 to 10. I'm
Mm,
thinking like it's really that my earliest memories. Like before that, I had a yellow plastic guitar that was
mm,
like you couldn't really make any sound out of it, but it was just a toy. But I remember playing that. Then I got the keytar, and then I got a real guitar, and it was an electric guitar. It was like a half size,
mm,
and I remember getting that for Christmas and a little amp. So I was really lucky because my parents were really supportive. They weren't sort of like they didn't have a vision for me and my brother of like you must study this and do that. But I think they really just saw like where we were moving towards, and I must have been moving towards music.
mm,
And then they would like support that in simple ways, and so I'm really grateful for that. Like having a guitar. Um, I never had like lessons official. I think maybe a few weeks. I think my one of my teachers started teaching me some chords. That was in primary school. That was cool. And I did have a few weeks of lessons, but I've never been that type of musician. For me, I think that's why I've found meditation and music come so easily
mm,
together for me, is because I think that's what I was always doing, really. Like it was almost, I mean, it sounds a bit cheesy to say, but it's just channeling. It's just being open, like an open vessel, and things coming through. So I never really got into playing other people's songs. I wasn't very good at that. I can't read music still. I don't know. I don't
mm,
think about music. It's very much like a way to express what I feel inside
mm,
and find the sound for that. And it helps me process and release, and then also really enter like a trance, I guess. And when I write, it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm writing a song. What shall I write about? It's just like something's coming through, and I just record it.
Okay. Do you remember when you wrote your first song, or if you would call it that?
Yes. Well, I remember it's very embarrassing, but that's the thing. So then I got my little guitar and I had my bed in my bedroom. I also had a mic and I had a what's it called? Yeah, I had a speaker that my grandpa was into electronics and so was my brother. So they built a speaker that I then used. And then I got like this tape, a 4-track tape recording. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I had one. Yeah, yeah.
Did you? Yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm,
So that was another sort of Christmas present. So I was slowly building my studio.
mm.
And I we used to record songs on these tapes. So you'd record and it did like 2 tracks on one side, 2 tracks on the other. So you only had
Hmm.
one. And I wrote a song about a Cinquecento because I really wanted that car.
Yeah,
I really wanted
that
a
was the
yellow.
first one.
That was my first one. Yeah, it was about driving in my yellow Cinquecento.
Beautiful.
It wasn't as spiritual then.
Wow.
That was channeled from
You're
the
still being in
console.
touch with your heart, you know. That's spiritual, isn't
I
it?
want that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prayer. It was a prayer. Yeah, but I can see that. I don't know for sure. It's been a part of my life always, and
Mm,
almost. I tried to stop playing music for a bit,
mm.
but I just sort of couldn't. Yeah.
Right. It came back.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
can't live without it. Actually, I think I can't.
Mm,
I played the drums as well. When I was 12, I started playing drums, and then I put my songwriting career down for a while actually, till I was about 26.
mm,
And then again, it was really like a need. I was in a very difficult moment in my life, and I was quite lonely as well, and I just needed to express that, and so
mm,
I picked up the guitar again, and then I started writing, and that
mm.
became another project. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you. The other kind of bonding factor of artists on P Sound is their musicianship, their songwriting, and then also their interest in kind of peace and social justice broadly. Um, as that, because I know you've worked in like human rights stuff, haven't you, in the past, and I wonder how, yeah, spirituality, activism, how. Well, maybe let's start with spirituality. Is that something that did you grow up with that?
I did actually. Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
yeah. So how can I explain it? I was part of a community growing up. They're called Christadelphians. It's a form of
mm.
Christianity. Yeah.
I'm aware.
Do
Yeah.
you know them? Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend that was, yeah. Mm.
Yeah. My mum was raised quite sort of strictly in that.
Hmm.
My dad actually was born in Pakistan, and his lineage would be Islam, but his father wasn't practicing, and I think he wanted him to integrate into the UK at a time when there was probably a lot of discrimination, to be honest, in the
Mm.
50s. So he didn't continue that tradition, and then he actually sort of by accident discovered Christadelphianism from playing
Mm.
football with his friend, and that's how he met my mum. And then me and my brother were born, and we were raised like reading the Bible, yeah, and Sunday school, and a lot of my family are still part of that. But again, they were very good with us. They're very open. So I think probably when I started playing the drums when I was about 12, they were like, "You don't, what do you want to do? You don't have to come." It's kind of like an education. But then they said you don't have to come if you don't want to, and I said, "Yeah, I don't want to anymore," because
Mm.
I think that I felt like, and this is interesting, and how I've discovered Plum Village and the sort of process of my own life, because I felt that there was people saying a lot of good stuff on the podium, but I didn't actually see it in practice
Mm.
in the community. There was kind of like a frontage of kindness and acceptance and love, and there was that, but there was also a lot of judgment. There was also a lot of I could just read it at the time. I was like, I don't think this is it. This isn't something that I
Mm.
believe in actually. Yeah, but I think it gave me a great education into like the mysteries of life, that to think about that, to be open to that, and maybe from being from different cultures to see that there's many different ways to explore this and to have an open mind. And so I'm really grateful for the
Mm.
education and being multicultural. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And to you mentioned Plum Village there. So when did Take That Hand teachings come into your life?
Yeah. I think, yeah, I remember it was 2015. it was spring, and I bought the book Silence actually.
Mm.
Yeah, and because I love silence, and I think it's such a big part of sound. It's the sound comes out of
Mm.
silence, and I was in a band at the time called Gaps, and it was
Hmm.
very much about that as well. That, and as a drummer as well, you're playing with silence. You're like punctuating silence and rhythm. So um, because of this upbringing, I think, yeah, I'd always stayed in touch with. I'd always been interested in learning about the world, and I've always read a lot of history and sociology, and then philosophy, and then
Mm.
I would kind of do that on my own. And then I've discovered the Eastern wisdoms. I discovered Alan Watts.
Mm.
Yeah, I love Alan.
We both love Alan Watts, don't we? Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Mm.
And then in particular, looking at the different traditions Zen, and then Mahayana Buddhism, and then the Ranzai tradition. Then I was like, I think that's what I'm doing. Like that's what I'm doing with my music. You know,
Mm.
Zen art. It's kind of like that. So and then because I was working at the time, so yeah, with um, as a social justice advocate, um,
Right.
I and I was on the edge of burnout as well, big time. Um, so when I discovered Thich Nhat Hanh, it was like, wow, it was like all these things coming together. It was the spirituality,
Mm.
it was the music, the creativity, and it was the engaged action in the world and how to do that in a very embodied, sustainable way. So
Mm.
that's, I was taken, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the next year, I think, many of us, we find the little address in the back of the
That's
book.
right. Yeah.
It's
This is a place.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And for me, all these books I'd been reading by these wondrous beings were long dead.
Mm.
There was no living community. So this was the first time I found someone who I was
Yeah.
inspired by, and then on a very holistic level, and I could actually go and meet people. So that was a
Mm.
really beautiful moment to just take that leap, and I just went on my own for a retreat. Yeah, the next year, to a wake up retreat, actually,
Oh
2016.
yeah.
Yeah, which was all about how do we care for ourselves while we work compassionately in the world. So that was really the question on my mind as
Hmm.
well.
And that leads nicely to talking about Wondrous Sound as a as your current artistic expression, I would say. Is that what you call it? That yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I call it holistic platform, but it's really just to give me an excuse to do what I want with it. Because there's sort of like different things I do with it.
Did
Yeah,
that emerge? Did that emerge at and around Plum Village community? Would you say?
definitely. Yeah,
Right.
because Wondrous sounds a bodhisattva. Uh,
Right.
I'm sure you may know this.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And really, that was the intention. It was like, we've got the meditator, artist, warrior,
Warrior.
um,
Mm.
sort of practice zones, and that really resonated with me. But before, I even though I had that spiritual dimension in a sense, I wasn't practicing. So I was an artist and I was a warrior, but I wasn't a meditator. And
Mm.
I think that Wondrous Sound really helps me remember that, like, I have to practice too. So I'm offering things to help others in a sense, but I need help too. So it's like
Mm.
I have to sort of embody it or practice with it every day. So instead of getting caught in just like the external world and trying to change, or do all these wonderful things that we want, it's like I have to embody it in my own way of life, in my own thought, speech, and action, and it sort of keeps
Mm.
me grounded in that, you know, the lifestyle of it actually. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's taken its expression in through like sound healing workshops that you've done there,
yeah,
and also recordings that you've
yeah.
made, songwriting and recordings. Yeah. I'm gonna just I'm gonna read you some of your own words here. So this is from your and we'll link this in the show notes, but it's from your kind of, I don't know what you call, like your bio, your manifesto.
Yeah.
Awakening harmony and co-creating a new world. I just want to pick up on a few things from here. It says we all have a unique song to sing as flowers in the garden of humanity. Quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. Gifts and talents that can be expressed in a way that serves our own well-being and contributes to the evolution of an equitable, sustainable society in harmony with the earth. As we tune into our potential beyond the age of exploitation in the midst of collapse, we may feel hope or hopelessness, held back by life of social conditioning, fear, and external pressure to continue the model and ignore the callings of our heart. Through sound meditation workshops and retreats, we can relax deeply into the present moment, release the old paradigm from within, and develop skills to help you stay in tune, action new ideas, and co-create in greater harmony with others for the benefit of all.
There you go.
Wonderful. I wanted to pick up there on this. We seem to be, what really touched me about those words, I think, was is that we're at quite an, I don't know if apex is the right word, but we're at this kind of moment where we're looking at potential collapse in some ways, and also there's so much incredible kind of creativity, and there is this kind of newness that's emerging.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I mean, how do you feel about that, and what part does creativity, music, have to play in this new emerging way of living?
Yeah. Well, I think more and more I realize and I'm inspired by the fact that music and sound, it really is like, how can I explain it? To me, it really unfolds the teachings of the Dharma in a very tangible way. So, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, we're all unique flowers in the garden of humanity.
Mm.
And I find that very beautiful. And this whole like we all are the leaves of one tree. And in my own practice, I've felt this like there's no separate self separate from the tree, from this
Mm.
energy that we all emerge from and go back to, and emerge from and go back to. But there is still this unique expression that we all have. I believe, I feel. And when we can get quiet inside, we can start to listen to this inner sound. I use this word, it's from Yogi Bhajan, who is another teacher in my kind of toolbox,
Mm.
who's kind of the lineage of the Gong and Kundalini yoga. So
Mm.
the way I see it is like we are life expressing itself, and
Mm.
it's just really about listening in to that, and as we say, tuning into the gifts that we all have. So we all have gifts. For me, it might be music. It's something I love. It's something I've always done. It's healing for me, and that's what I say about something that we do that actually serves us and serves our own well-being, but also doing it in a way that is about serving the world, and that includes these systems that we create. So it's simple things like for example, if I was running Wondrousound as a corporate enterprise, I might be trying to do. And I talked to my parents about this, saying, well, you could fit in, 5 gong baths a day. It's like, well, I could, but actually, I only need to do 2 a week. That's enough for me, and I'll be well, and I can offer, and then I'll be regenerated myself. And it's just like looking at our ways of being, and then when we see, like, the thing is, we are also vibrating at a frequency, right? And the earth's vibrating at a frequency. And I think that part of the job of music and sound and mindfulness is to help us to get back into our unique song and our unique frequency, but that is in resonance with the earth, with the cosmos, and then learn to be in resonance with others. So it's the way I see it is music, we can express the message in the music, but we can also become the music in our lives, the way that we interact with ourselves, with others, and the earth. And it can become this really harmonic orchestra that really is our true nature, I feel, um, because we inter are, So it's like, it's almost just getting back to that. It's already there, actually, but we block it with our thoughts, with our fears, with the
Mm.
conflict. So I think it's really this journey, and for me, I bring it all together with Wondrousound because I had a career in music, I had a career as studying law and doing social justice advocacy and burning out, and then I spent a lot of time, trying to stop and relax and release and
Mm.
listen and learn to be more present and let life move me.
Mm.
And I see that, yeah, we can't go out there and change the world, and we can't change the world in the old system. We can't, we have to allow a new way of being to move through us. And
Mm.
this is really the work of Wondrous Sound. So the music might be the message, the sound healing is helping us relax, become present, release this old paradigm, which is really the social conditioning, the trauma, the tension that stops us being in a state of flow, stops us being an ambassador of life, stops us being this
Beautiful.
unique flower. And then, though, the final thing is, how can we collaborate? Because it's not about self-empowerment. It's about, we have to be empowered and in tune, and then we have to work together, and we need to learn to do that. And I think sound can help us with that as well, and self-expression.
Thank you. Sign
If
me
that
up.
makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you. Maybe lastly, we can touch on current happenings for you. I know that there's
Yeah.
some new songs and yeah, there are other things that you're working on at the moment with the project, the
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, I've got my fingers in a few pies, Joe, like you.
Mhm.
But again, I've learned this. Like, I've learned that this is much better for my own well-being, because like I need, I have this, again, this sort of like process. So in Plum Village, we might say it's the play, service, study,
Mm.
practice.
Mm.
And for me, it's like practice, create, facilitate, renew.
Mm.
And I
They're
try
like
to,
the four. I think Thich Nhat Hanh described them as the four pillars of Plum
the
Village.
four pillars, yeah.
Yeah, so they're play.
So in Plum
It's a
Village,
great
and
one,
yeah,
isn't it?
I'll start with play. You probably should
Yeah.
start with practice, but yeah, play, practice,
Mm.
study,
Great.
service. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in our society, we're used to being like, oh, I'm an expert, so I work 40 hours doing this, and then I'm just like ruined. So I'm trying to not do that. So I try to balance. So yeah, so what I'm doing, Wondrousound, I've got a new album coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to be writing one a year, which is quite nice actually. It's kind of like a reflection on what's going on in the
Mm.
world, what's going on in me, and then an offering. So that's nice. That's going to come out in September,
Mm-hmm.
and the autumn equinox, just because it's called We Are Capable, and I feel like really putting this message into the collective consciousness, like you say, at this time of, I call it like a evolution crisis,
Mm.
and actually trying to rebalance some of the fear and the despair, which is also relevant and fair. But it's like,
Mm.
we also do have capacity, and how can we use music and sound, first of all, to bring ourselves back into harmony within, and then act from that space. And that's exciting for me. And then I'm doing at the moment, yeah, I'm offering sound healing at a local retreat centre, which is very beautiful, throughout the summer. And I've got these workshops that I've been developing as well, so I'll probably be offering those. It starts with you can say no.
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mm.
So it's saying, we can become harmonic within ourselves, but we have to learn to express our needs, our limits, our
Mm.
boundaries, but in a loving way, so we can actually stay connected to that inner sound. And then the next one is life is moving through you, let it speak. And this is
Mm.
about creativity, but it's really being a channel for creativity, for new ideas, but also with this reflection point on how can we offer ourselves in service of the whole. So again, when we do new things, when we try to create new ideas, how can we actually think, how does this affect other people, the earth?
Mm.
You've got the Future Generations Act in Wales is looking at their own policies like this. What is this policy?
Interesting. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
going through this bill. Yeah, so it is good coming into the collective. It's really just the 5 mindfulness trainings as well.
Mm.
And you've got the Wellbeing Economy Alliance. They're another amazing movement. So I'm trying to line it all up with that. It's quite strategic actually.
Yeah.
But and that, I guess for me, that brings all these things that I enjoy together, about being,
Mm.
using music sound to serve life, yeah, to create a more harmonious world.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. Well, I think, yeah, on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much. And yeah, we'll put links to all of this stuff in the description that can be followed. So yeah, I wish you a